Hi, welcome back to Let's Build. I usually end these videos by requesting your requests for cars, and I'm pleased to say that Kevin made a request fairly recently, and I thought this will be interesting because I wanted to build a Uranus Blue Lamborghini and I couldn't find the code and I was too lazy, so I never built it. And now Kevin's forced my hand, so I have to. So that's great. So we'll get on with that in a minute. There are chapter marks because one section is all about finding the crew colour. It's a very iterative process. If you don't get it right, you try again and again. It can take a little while. So I'm taking you right through that. But of course, if you want to, you can just skip it. And if you just want to get the hex, you can go to that. And if you just want the cinematic outro, you can go to that. Well, let's kick off with finding the crew colour because Kevin says he wants the perfect crew colour, so I'm going to have to do my very best here to not disappoint either of us. I started by double checking gtacolours.com just to be sure it wasn't there, but no, of course it wasn't. I think Kevin would have got it from there if it was. I still sample and darken the colour similar to my original crew colours video, but I do use a couple of different tools, so you can see the process now. I usually start now with the image color picker website, and it's quite good because you can just pop URLs in and pick parts of images. And I selected this picture here, and it is difficult because the blue looks different in just about every photograph, but I picked this one and selected an area of the hood and got a hex. Now that hex has to be darkened, of course, so the tool I now use for darkening is simply the hex color tool, because you can pop in your hex. You can now, of course, use the sliders to refine that colour if you want. Have two windows open and try and match the colour a little bit better. I haven't done that here. Then you can go down the bottom and select whether you want to lighten or darken that hex, and in units of 5 or 10%. So I normally put units of 10%, click darken, and then I get the hex I want as one of these swatches on the bottom right. I pop that one straight into the crew color page, and in fact this one went straight in the box. There was no need to inspect the element or anything. And then I go into the game. Now in the game I want to show you the build I already have on the Sean, so I didn't want to paint it particularly yet. So I simply borrowed this car from a kind donut on the street and took it inside to pop the hex on. As you can see, I've just started by painting the car in black so that I can see what I'm doing, get rid of any of the pearls, then selected the crew colour for primary and secondary. But you know, I think I've made a sort of Lamborghini Cephas blue here. I just don't see the green in it. And I think I can edit out the rest of the video, which was simply me trying different pearls, especially the greens, to try and bring that colour back. But because this blue is so vivid, the pearls made almost no difference, and this was not going to be it, so we have to try again. So off then to the Lamborghini website, looking at their new one, and I've just looked up how to pronounce it, and apparently it's a Revuelto, not Revuelto as I thought. So looking at the new car specifically, of course, to get the colour swatch. I'm not so keen on the swatch because it's actually going from light to dark, and again I don't know which bit to sample. So I've actually taken a little bit of the bonnet of the car instead. So now I'm going to feed this into the image picking website again and see what sort of hex we can get from that. Okay, well I think things look much better here. If you look at the picture of the bonnet and you look at the swatch, I can really see that green in with the blue. It's also a touch darker, which I think is going to work out very well. So back to hex color tool. As explained previously, I select the darken and pick the darkened by 20% swatch from the bottom right. I then input that back into the Rockstar Social Club crew color page. This time it won't feed into the box without changing itself to a different hex, so I have to do the inspect method, which I'll assume you either know or you can watch on my crew colors video. As a general rule, I add FF to the end for my first choice of letters to put in, because that nearly always seems to work. Okay, back to the workshop. Well, let's put this colour on, and yeah, that definitely looks better. Now I'll edit most of the rest out because it's me playing with pearlescence, which I really need to see in the sunshine, and it's the middle of the night, so I can't. So I decided to get rid of this car. I'm going to move on now and take a look at the Sean. 2 builds for the price of 1, because this is a real Sean as seen in the photographs. You've not seen it like this in my garage before. It's how I have been storing it, and I thought you'd like to see this build. Once we've been fully through this build, of course, it's just time to pop on the crew colour. Anyway, going through the entire customization, and do bear in mind there is no Roadster in the game. There are no roof options on this car. I can't, for example, pick a carbon roof or something and try and make it look like the removable roof. That's just not possible. So we're just going to run through and do a Uranus Blue standard Sian. Armour always to full, if you like it, brakes to full. Now on the front bumpers, I won't run through them all, but I'm going with the street bumper, and the simple reason is it's the only one that gives 1, 2, 3 little uprights here, and I'm keeping this piece for this particular car body colour. We'll talk about other paint colours as we go through. Let's just look at the standard Sian first. On the rear bumper, everything is quite different at the back of this car to the real car. The one thing I do want to keep is no diffuser here and no diffuser here, because that much we can do, and every one of these diffusers here puts something in here. They all put the secondary on, so I've stayed stock, because as you can see everything else simply puts more stuff in or exhausts that don't exist. Engine of course to 4. With the exhaust we have a round exhaust but in a sort of hexagonal shaped hole, so I think the first two options give more of the feel of that, which is why I have in fact picked one of those, the stock exhaust. But to a certain extent your angled round does at least echo the round pipe and hide them a bit, so really up to you. You can spend ages going through all the hoods and ultimately you will be dissatisfied because this central piece is on every single hood and it's not on the real car hood. The real car has just that one big vent. You can go to, I think it's performance hood here, and have one big vent in the completely wrong place, but I just think stock is going to be your best option here. Lights, I'm on xenons, but next time this goes to car meet it will get the white car meet lights, which I think look better. You don't need a livery on this at all, but we'll just skim on through. There's some nice stripes and then there's some rather bold ones. Plate, put your own Lamborghini type plate on there in the appropriate colour. On the louvers, I had it skid louvers, but when I really look, although I picked them for the central strut, I didn't really want the little ones each side, and if you just move down to performance louvers, which we'll change to, I think they're more accurate to the shape and the look, so there we go, something learnt. The respray on this car, I think that this car at the moment is in a pure white, which is the hex, of course. 6 Fs and 2 zeros is the hex for pure white. You can of course go for something like a classic ice white, maybe metallic ice white would also do perfectly okay, so that's up to you really. The secondary colour on this I think is a classic lime green, yes it is, and of course you can see exactly where that secondary is affecting. There's no internal colours for this car. There's not as many options on this car actually as you might think there are. For the skirts, I've gone for carbon performance because I want an angled small wing at the back, this one's slightly too big, and another little one at the front. I want them painted green all over. Carbon performance skirts is the nearest you can get because performance is all black, and then we move into different types. The stock skirt I also like a lot. The only thing is the stock skirt isn't painted in, but I don't know, I think the shapes may be closer. So maybe this will be another last minute change. Let's go for stock skirts. Spoiler, there is no spoiler, anything else you add is just wrong. Suspension I've gone for street, and that's because there's almost no gap between the wheel and the arch, and that's how I see it on the photos. Transmission and turbo of course are up to you, maxed out because I like the car. Now for this, I think I have picked one of the wheels from the track category. Yeah, I've picked Forged Star and painted them white as a nice simple option to get myself a white wheel that's really in sympathy with the wheel on the main car. And if you don't want to mess with painting stock wheels, just use the Forged Star. However, we will put stock wheels on and paint them for this build. That's it really, don't forget your bulletproof tyres, and for the windows a light smoke. Okay, so that's how this car is built, and that's a build I recommend. Now I'm going to get a couple of photos on my phone and we're going to build the Uranus Blue, and I'm saying the name of the planet in that way to avoid any titters from the back. For part 2, what's happened? The car's already finished. What happened is I've made a mistake and some footage has now disappeared forever. So what changes were made then to the white one to make the Uranus blue one? Well, round the back I decided I would just keep the angled round exhausts because I didn't really like the colour on the hexagon shaped ones, even if some of the shaping was slightly more correct. So that was that. Also on the number plate I decided on this colour car that yellow on black, which is, to be honest, my favourite sort of plate in the game. I think that one suited it rather better than the white plate. Moving on to colours, of course the primary is the crew colour. I spent some time playing outside with the pearlescents and I'm going to show you the car in different lights and you'll see, but I think gasoline green is working the best at making the car a bit greener as it gets brighter in the sky, which is lovely. The secondary, just take metallic gold. It costs hardly anything, and I have tried the gold from the metals section, but it doesn't look as good or match quite as well as just pure normal metallic gold. If you're on console, I suggest you just stay with the forged star but paint them in gold. If you're on PC, then look back at my previous video on painting stock wheels and do just that, paint the stock wheels in gold because they are a little bit more accurate, and if you can do it in any way through any form of glitch, that's a little bit nicer to have. Okay, that's the build complete. We're going to look at it in a couple of different lights now. Here it is stored in with some other Lamborghinis and I think the colour looks really good. So this is just inside with a harsh light. This is roughly midday in the game with a very high sun, and yeah, it's come out really well. The gasoline green pearl just brings out that touch of extra green in the car. I think it's pretty much spot on. Well, that's the build and the colour, and Kevin, I hope you like this, and remember, you are contractually obliged to like and comment if you do. And for everybody else, if you found some inspiration, entertainment or fun at all in this video, again, please, if you could like and or comment, it would be much appreciated. Every single click of the like tells YouTube you like the channel and it will slowly grow. We've just passed 1,000 subscribers. That is fantastic. I just want to say right now, thank you all so much for subscribing, commenting and generally helping out with the channel. Hopefully this is only the start and we can keep pushing onwards from here. Of course, because of the crew paint tutorial as well, this video is incredibly long, and if you got this far, pop in the comments Raging Bull after the Lamborghini and then I'll know that you are one of the few probably who made it this far, and I thank you for that. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed and thank you so much for watching.